And we are back, ladies and gentlemen. After a few minor inconveniences, we've got the lobby back up and running with Bruno Will in this time. Let's hope it stays that way. But as we were running through before, Riggsy, it is a wet start to this race. It is set to clear up later on in the session. We're not sure when, but that'll be the fun of it.
Definitely. I think the drivers will be looking pretty much forward to when the dry weather comes and when it comes. The weather boards and markers and telemetry, like anything that tells you how the weather's going to interfere with the race. Sometimes they like to kind of hold. Formula One likes to hold that kind of technology in high regard, but at the same time it can be quite inaccurate. I mean, the driver will probably come at some point, but sometimes it's no right on the button. So, and that can definitely tip the scales in terms of strategy as well, especially when you're going from the wets to the inters and inters to the slick tyres. And it's all about gauging that. Because that is, if you're in a wet to dry race, that's where you're going to win your race, is in the strategy. When you can interpret when the changing conditions are realistic take effect, when the team tells you the other tyre is faster, and also just keeping on element as well. That's obviously that's a big must for the drivers. But no, pretty much looking forward to seeing how this goes. As we see Bruno will take his pole position slot. Everybody is on the wet, so it's Bruno
So everybody's lining up on the full wet tyres to begin with. But yeah, we saw, you mentioned in the, almost like the practice start that they got in that last session, that it was a bit chaotic, to say the least. So that is none shy of what I'm expecting in this one as well.
No, definitely, that's gonna. I'm just watching on the broadcast camera here through the first set of the S's in the first sector, and you can just see the spray that's getting kicked up by one driver, and they're not even in close proximity of each other. Like they're well spaced out, a second apart, and you
see
can barely
down
see
here,
them.
you're on broadcast now. It's just puddles everywhere. There's no dry line, of course, because this is the first time that they are heading out onto the track.
And Libero's already
overshooting. Torrential.
And Libero kind of overshooting the brake in there. I don't know if that was intentional to try and maybe force some heat into the brakes. And the kind of thing there as well is, this is like, I mean, it's obviously formation laps are crucial to get the car into the best possible condition for the race start. Because drivers will be fancying a place or two off the start, but I feel like the nature of this particular tunnel, there's a steep incline into the braking zone, so the incline also helps you slow down the car, and you don't really see the apex, especially in these conditions, because it's a wee tiny bollard on the inside, and when there's spray being kicked up by these wet tyres at the front, then what chance of you seeing it? All you really see in front of you as a driver in these conditions is the blinking red light on the back of the car in front. That's all you see. Luckily enough, we've got better camera technology that we can see the cars, but they don't see what we see. But definitely going to be interesting over the start and for the 28 laps ahead of us.
Well, it's one that Bruno Will is necessary to take the victory on if he wants to keep this championship battle alive. Obviously, VRG Dominic starting down in P13, not where he's wanting to be. He's going to have to make his way up through the field as we go on board with Matty as he lines up on the final grid slot for the USA Grand Prix. Got 5 lights ahead of the drivers. And lights out, and away we go. Who's going to get the best start out the front? It looks like Bruno Will's got a flyer of a start. He's got away from Jamham already. Jamham under pressure from behind. Libero and Hamdam side by side. They're going to make a bit of contact into turn 1. There's all Concertina into turn 1. McLaren getting forced off there. It's Eke as Hamdam makes his way past Libero into P3 at the start here. Good start from him. We look further back in the field. There's a bit of battling through the middle sector. Who's going to go side by side? There's a bit of contact by the looks of it. There's debris flying. Not quite sure. It looks like it might be Oh, he got a spinner as well. That is PFL Dommy who's round. And it looks like one of the Red Bulls has got a bit of damage on his end plate, Riggsy, as we see Urban Unicorn and Buckley going side by side again. Oh, he squeezes him off. They're side by side now running down the hill. These two have had a few coming together as well recently. They're going side by side just before the straight, as Buckley's still going to hang it around the outside. Urban gives them a squeeze again. They're still side by side, but we'll have to have a look to see who got the damage on the end plate, Riggsy.
I definitely seen
Was it
damage
Dominic?
I don't know. I'm quite confused between the two Red Bull drivers off that start, and I'm trying to get my eagle eyes on and see if I can see the front wing. It must be Danny, because Dominic's wing's pretty much intact from what I can see. So it must be Danny if it's red. Yep,
I saw on
the left of Danny's car.
Yeah, left end plate. So it is DJ Danny who's lost out from the start there with the front wing damage. Looked like possible 3 abreast going into turn 3.
One notable start, like Mercury at one there. Never go, you disconnected to go and reset the lobby once again, but Ham on Liberal at turn 1 was the exact same move he made in the former start. I don't even really know, the false start rather, not the former start, the false start. He made a great getaway off his grid slot from 4th place, and he just tucked the car to the inside. Liberal didn't cover it enough. He was doing to focus it on the brother in front, he wasn't really near Bruno Will. Bruno Will seemed to hook up quite well with the
inside.
But Hamjam making the same move twice in 2 race starts to the 6 over Liberal. I hope Liberal will be a bit aware of it, but apparently...
And Eke and Fusion, sorry, going side by side into the middle sector. Fusion gets the move done. Sorry to cut you off there, Riggsy. Yeah, Jamham getting a very good start, and as you said, pretty much identical to the one he made on the full start. So possibly wet weather starts might have been what he has been practicing for. He seems to be holding right with Jamham ahead, and he has brought a big gap to Libero, so I'm not sure if Libero's struggling. As Eke looks to come back on Fusion here for P10.
I can't see too much in terms of any damage of that when any cameras I'm seeing on the Alpha of Liberal. Maybe this is just his genuine pace at the minute. No, his wing seems to be perfectly fine. He may have lost a tiny finite piece of carbon fibre on that front wing, and even the tiniest bit of damage can leave a big impact, especially in these conditions. And Buckley is literally swarming all across the back of the Alpha in front. He'll be looking to make a quick pass at some point. He got the jump on Urban Unicorn as well on that first lap. Urban Unicorn didn't really get a great launch either, and he was subjected to Buckley's stronger start and obviously pursuit for 5th place, which Buckley ended up winning. Any other big losses? We've seen Toxic Fusions lost 3 places. Dominic lost 4
and he's currently having a scrap with Dominic. Dominic did get the move done at the end of the straight, but Fusion fought back through turn 16. He picks up the place again. That's not what Dominic needs in this race. He needs to clear the traffic as fast as possible. He looks...
Jam have switched places. I don't know if maybe Jam got a bit of a slide or a tank slapper or something on the exit of 1, but he's not looked really slow on the exit of 1, so it could be a mistake in there of some kind, and his brother's been able to slip through. Still running stick in front, but that's opened up a big gap for Bruno Will already extending the lead to 3.2 seconds over Ham. Really excels in conditions like these. Really must have a perfect setup on that Renault leading the way. But Dominic, as we were discussing before we fired up the street for a second time, isn't really one for fighting through traffic, probably because we've never really seen him doing it. And he still was 12th at the minute. The car still seems to be in one piece. He is keeping up with Toxic Fusion, but there is a gap building between himself and Eke for 10th place. So Dominic might want to make some quick work on the Alpha at some point. We can't afford to be bogged down too much in. I'll probably discuss Churka briefly, because he's not really had pace of late either. Like, he has shown a bit of a weakness in terms of...
Dominic's going to go up the insides.
Oh, sorry.
He's giving Fusion the dummy. They're side by side, but Fusion holds it around the outside again through turn 15, and he's going to have the inside line turn 16. But Dominic's got the pace through the middle of the corner here, gets a better exit. Is he going to go for a move, possibly into the penultimate corner? We don't see many overtakes there, and he thinks better of it.
And Toxic Fusion gave him a squeeze.
Churka's off the track. Big old slide, and Matty's going to get that position into the final corner.
And that was kind of going to completely sound contradictory to what I was about to say about Churka, in a sense, but like, he was doing quite well to kind of keep up, especially with his form of late. I don't know if it's maybe just a general lack of practice or lack of confidence in these conditions, but he's not, in the last couple of races, like in Mexico and in Japan and that, he's not really looked like the Churka that we know him as a race driver. Like he used to be up at the front battling these big guys and in the midfield for strong points, but in the last few races we've not really seen him doing that, and he has been tending to struggle in the last couple of races. So I'm kind of curious to see if he can try and maybe pick up a bit of form in the season run-in. And before we
going for a move as well on Buckley. Again, has to back out it, but Buckley's gone deep on the brakes. Couldn't quite slow the car down, so they're now going to go side by side down the straight. Who's got the better straight line speed? No DRS, of course, and wet weather conditions again. He's going to tuck back into the slipstream. And Buckley doesn't defend it for now. He seems to have better straight line speed, Buckley, on the outside. And Urban's going to stick his nose in on the inside. Buckley has to leave him room. They're going to go side by side.
And Buckley will be inside.
Seems to get the move kept on the inside. He's got the better line, but Urban's now going to fight straight back with a great switchback.
Oh,
can he get the car slowed down? It's the contact there. Oh no.
Is that damage?
Damage on Buckley's front wing. Urban with a mistake there. He seemed to drift into Buckley's line.
And that
will be looked at in the stewards afterwards. Sorry, Dominic's having a bit of issues as well. He's side by side with Matty. He has
those drivers are in the pits already, Mercury drivers already in the
drivers
pits.
In the pits.
Is it Intos already?
Well, there's a big chunk of them, but a lot of them stayed out as well, as we see Ham Jam in on the they're all on the intermediate tyres, the ones that are coming into the pits, but a lot of the drivers staying out here. So, and the rain has seemed to slow down, but is it enough? As we see Dominic finally getting the move done on Fusion, but he fights back and he goes around the outside before the middle sector even starts. There's a good move from him. It's Matty now up the inside of Fusion. He thinks better of that and backs out of it. But
don't really want
to move stick on Fusion.
Don't really want to be going side by side into the S section, especially in these conditions. But drivers half the grid already thinking, just short of half the grid, apologies. Already thinking that intermediates are the way forward at this point. As Churka's up the inside of Matty side by side into turn 11, into the hard braking zone at the top end of the circuit. Who's going to have the Owen? I think that was Churka tapping the back of Toxic Fusion there. Matty had nowhere else to go on the outside. So it's a matter of straight line speed. Churka's got the clean air, but Matty's got the slipstream with the Alpha behind, and they're going to go free wide. Is Churka going to try and make that free wide? Actually, he's going to go
the inside.
Oh, and it's free
doesn't
wide.
Quite outbrake Fusion, and Fusion's locked his rears, and he's completely lost the rear end. He has missed out on 3 positions. There's PFO Domi back up into P8 already, and Churka has made the move past the 2 drivers, so didn't quite outbrake Fusion, but Fusion outbroke himself in the end.
And crucially, Ham Jam already making work on the wet runners already.
Well, he's stuck in this traffic though, as we see Bruno Will coming into the pits.
Ham Jam will probably get a strong jump here, because that's Bruno Will just coming out of the pits now. He might get the jump.
We'll have to ride on board and see.
I'll go Ham Jam.
Just come out of his pit box. So he's heading to the exit now. He is going to be clear of Ham Jam.
Aye. I thought I kind of overhyped it a bit there. I thought it was a lot closer than what it was, but I mean, you never know. There is still been some king games.
The gap's about the same, I think. Maybe increased a little bit, but we see the rest of the drivers now coming into the pits as they all come in for the intermediate tyres. We'll see who's the big winner out of all of that. Jewel comes out in P5, it looks like. It's going to be P6. He's going to be side by side with Urban into turn 1. And they've made contact. It was inevitable. Jules lost a big chunk of his front wing. The 2 drivers, it was much like Stroll and Sainz in 2017 Bahrain. Has Jewel now with a big chunk of front wing missing. Contact with Urban into turn 1. As we see Danny having a big old slide in the middle sector, as he has his teammate now right behind him. possible team orders down at Red Bull to let the championship leader through. We'll have to wait and see, as Danny seems to be struggling. I'm not sure if he changed his front wing in that stop, Briggsy. It looks like he has.
I think he's got
Danny now with a
he's got
fresh front wing.
Yep. I think he'll be letting his teammate
He's
through.
free to push on. Well, we'll see down this straight. Seems to have quieted down a little bit. Fusion, the big loser out of all of that, he's down to P14. And Maudi currently at the back of the grid's cut off from the rest of the field. You see Dominic looking up the inside of Danny. He doesn't look to give up the position yet.
Yep.
But he's going to possibly look to get it done by the start-finish straight. I'm not sure what the orders will be down at Red Bull. Well, I would assume it would be to let Dominic through and let him race.
I feel like it's quite dangerous in Red Bull to let their drivers fight, especially in conditions like these, because it can so easily go wrong. And the cardinal sin of Formula 1 is you don't hit your teammate at whatever cost. So you don't want a repeat like Turkey 2010 with Vettel and Mark Webber. You don't want a repeat in McLaren in Austria 99 with Hakkinen and Coulthard. You don't want incidents like that. So I think, I don't know why, like, because these two drivers, the two teammates really seem to get on, and they seem to like kind of understand like the racecraft of the other. And I'm quite surprised that Danny might has already let him past, because he is slower than Buckley. The gap is building between the two, and that's only hindering his teammate more. But at the same time, Dominic's not getting that straight line purchase, and the slipstream of his teammate. As we saw on the last lap, they were near close enough for a look into turn 12. So Dominic, you can see, is really running a really high front wing. So he's not getting that same benefit for the slipstream as you would with a skinny wing, if you call it, that's what they call it. So I don't really know. It's a bit conflicting at the minute, but I'm quite interested to see how it goes, obviously. But I feel like Dominic should be making quite work of his teammate, at least in this lap or next.
He doesn't seem to be closing right up to the back of him as he was on that first lap that we went on board with him. And Danny is closing the gap to Buckley, so his point is going to be that actually he's not losing any time, so why does he have to let his teammate through? But yeah, Dominic seems to be struggling a little bit for pace. I thought he may have carved his way through a lot more of the traffic quicker. But plenty of time to go in this race. We see Kyle and Fusion battling for P14 in this Grand Prix. As we go through turn 16 now, as Kyle's going to go up the inside, he has to back out of that one. Fusion gives him a bit of a squeeze on the inside. As they head through the penultimate turn now, as Fusion goes a little bit deep, Kyle's going to fancy his chances possibly into turn 1 if he can set it up from the final corner, as he picks up a penalty there. But he will be close enough if he's got the straight line speed to get a move done on Fusion here. He is closing, looks down the inside, but Fusion breaks much later as he's gone a bit deep again. He slows the car down, as now Kyle's going to try and get the switchback again. Doesn't quite have the drive out of turn 1 to challenge Fusion, as he keeps the driver behind for now.
You've got a fan in the chat as well, Mercury. That important bro says Mercury is a very good commentator, so you're getting a plaudit in the chat. So I think
I was an upgrade, let's be honest.
Of course you were. And the bad thing about that is that's actually put on my there now, so Maldy's going to have my hero stick by the end of this. So pretty much looking forward to that. But I'll shout out any chat action as and when I see it. But as you were saying, just a lap or so ago, I think Dominic, I don't know, like maybe Danny is kind of like just dragging his teammate along. Dominic hasn't really shown in this race so far. He's kind of just kept his nose clean. Kind of pretty much expected that film off that start after that qualifying session. But he's not really been able to cut his way through the grid. So I think he might maybe just be using his teammate, as you were saying. I think Danny is well within his right to say, like, I'm quicker, I'll at least drag him along if he needs it.
Well, yeah, he is currently dragging him along. He is dragging him along to the back of St. Buckley, who's now caught up to the back of VOT Eke, who's struggling to get past Jewel. at the moment, as he has a little look into turn 1, thinks better of it, a little bit too far back on that occasion.
And this
But
train
this
as well.
will be the position that Dominic needs and will want to be in at the front of this train. As we see Eke right on the back of Jewel now. And yeah, this is Constantine in the pack completely up. As he looks to go on the move on the inside. That we never see overtakes here. As Jewel gives him a squeeze, there's a bit of contact. They seem to both get away with that one. But yeah, it was an interesting position to overtake. Obviously, it's a very difficult corner to overtake. But he did give it a go.
And this is Jules still running with that damage that he had for contact with Urban Unicorn earlier in the race. So he is nursing a damaged car at the minute, and that's probably going to be the explanation behind this train that's built up down to truck in 11th. So that'll be the main reason. Is like Jules is just running he's just nursing a damaged car at the minute at this stage in the race, and he's opting to stay out and wait for the dry weather to come. And I mean, to be fair, the dry line is expanding, and the rain is lighter. The skies look a bit clearer. There's not as much grey. There's a bit of brick-uppy, bits of white and bits of blue in there as well. So we can see the dry weather coming relatively soon, actually, because the dry line looks. Well, I mean, the dry line looks dry, very obvious, but it looks really like it looks like it really has evolved.
Oh, Zaki's going to look for the move. Sorry, into turn 16. Turn 17, sorry, as they're going side by side again. Jewel gives him space this time as he's going to try and make the move done into turn 18. He does make that up the inside. And Jewel will have to back out that one. No, he holds up around the outside. And now Buckley's going to look to get involved in this fight. Zaki's going to have the inside line for turn 1. Can Buckley get involved in this? Is he going to go for a dive down the inside? It looks like he is. He's going to go up the inside. It's going to be 3 wide into turn 1. Buckley's to cut the corner. They've managed to all get through unscathed as Eke gets the position and Jewel takes second. And so still side by side. Go into turn 3. And Eke gets the move done. Jewel keeps the position in P7. And now there's a massive train forming for what is P6 in this Grand Prix.
And Eke wisely getting his way through by the Renault there on lap 10 of 28 in this race. Eke's going to have a good bit of clear air, and Jules has just really been a mobile chicane at this point. Buckley's basically nudging him along at this point. And he knows, and he's going to go up the inside.
He's up the inside.
11, makes it stick a bit.
Jewel gets the line. Jewel gets the line, so he's going to get these. Oh, the contact, and Jewel's in the wall. Jewel's in the wall. And there'll be more front-wing damage for the Renault driver. I'm not sure if they make contact or not there, Riggsy.
Buckley seemed to give him enough room on the outside there, but I think just a wee squirt on the throttle there on board. I was on board with Joe, like Buckley just had a wee squirt of the throttle, and the car did have a bit of a twitch, and I think it's just kind of sent Joe's career into the wall on the right side of the track there. So, as he's
currently doing donuts on the track, so that will be investigated after the race, I believe, Riggsy, as that is very dangerous driving from the Renault driver. Definitely. But we will flip back on board to DJ Danny as he has a big old slide again. Danny's really struggling with his rear end and his wet weather conditions. Looks like Buckley as well having a moment through the penultimate corner. But Eke has created a bit of a gap to Buckley with all of that chaos that ensued behind him. Whether Buckley can close back up to him or not, we'll have to see. But Dominic is now stuck in this train. That's not where he's going to want to be.
And I don't know if Buckley actually picked up any damage for that. I think he's running with strong pace after that. As the thing lags for me. As it lags for me, and it lags for me, and it lags for me.
And you've disconnected from the session. So it looks like we've lost Riggsy for now. We'll try and get him back in a minute, but we'll stay on board with this battle for now. You see probably Churka's the closest to the overtake. But he's not going to want to make the move on Dominic without getting to the front of this train first. But we see Bruno Will still leading this Grand Prix, 9 seconds clear of Hamjam in second. He is really setting the pace in the middle of this Grand Prix. Hamjam, as I said, sitting very comfortably in P2. Jamham as well in P3. Libero and Urban all running their own races up front. But obviously Dominic's going to want to get to the front of this train as quick as possible if he wants to win the championship tonight. If it stays how it is, Dominic will need to get P5 in this race to take the championship, so it's looking unlikely for now, but the weather obviously looking to dry up later on in the session, as we will try and get Riggsy back into the party. So currently these drivers all sort of just following each other in the middle stages of this race, possibly waiting for the weather to clear up. The rain is still falling ever so slightly, so dry tyres not on the horizon as of yet, but it does seem to be as it seems to, oh, you see Dominic swerving on the straight. He seems to be telling his teammate he wants to get a move on, but Danny's still not letting him through. He wants to fight this battle. See Bruno Will setting the fastest lap of the Grand Prix. Yet again, he's just getting faster and faster out in front. But we will, I believe Riggsy is now back on, so we will get him back in. So yeah, Buckley's not looking to close up back up to Eke at this point. The gap is staying around about 1.4, 1.3. Danny, Dominic and Churka all following Buckley in throughout these laps. As we see a yellow flag and Jewel has retired from the sessions. We also see Kyle into the pits. He's on Winters for the looks of it. So, not sure if he picked up any sort of damage. Didn't look like he got a front wing change. As a safety car has been deployed. A safety car has been deployed and Fusion's been given a drive-through penalty for speeding under safety car. So the safety car is out in this session. As we see Maudi coming into the pits, he's timed that pretty well. Kyle obviously just came into the pits at that point. Yeah, I'm not sure if these drivers are going to pit or not. If they're expecting the dry weather to come very shortly, they may as well go for a fresh set of inters until the dry weather comes. This is going to bunch the pack up completely. As we see Riggsy, you there?
I am, yeah. I'm leading and inviting again, though.
I can't invite you. You have to join off of my profile.
Oh.
Should be able to join.
Oh, yeah, cool.
Yep.
I should can.
As we see Bruno Will into the pits.
The Xbox was a bad time to just completely have a meltdown.
Well, you've missed all the action, Riggsy. As we see Jewel retiring, the safety car has been deployed on lap 13 of this race. As we see top 4 pitting, it looks like everybody's going to come to pit. No, Urban stays out. So Urban will take the lead of this Grand Prix, I believe. No, Bruno will keep the lead. Will Urban get out in front of Hamjam? He will, so he takes P2, and they're not pitting on the safety car. And Eke is also another driver to stay out. Buckley the same. Dominic stayed out. Churka stayed out. So it was a split strategy, but it looks like by half of the field. Some opting to stay out until the dries are in effect. And others going for the fresh inters.
I think people in the fresh inters have probably made the right call there. As the track continually gets drier anyway. You're on the fresh rubber. Also, fresh rubber means you get better purchase. So, like, I mean, at the same time, I think maybe like Urban Unicorn, Eke, Buckley, Dominic, they've all decided to value track position more than an extra fresh set of tyres. So, quite interesting to see what was kind of really going through their thought process about that particular strategy. But I feel like it has kind of got Dominic up there a little bit. It's got Eke up there as well. After starting 11th, he sits 5th right behind Jamham there.
It'll be interesting because it's put Dominic right up the order.
Definitely, it's put Dominic up into 7th. He's just behind Buckley. Buckley started 6th. Hud. Chaos throughout his race, and he ends up halfway through the race back where he started. But honestly, I'm going to have to maybe keep my eyes away. Averted away from the chat because it's just kind of went off. I have to tell you that your dad's looking for you.
I highly doubt that, but we won't get into that at this point.
It's been quite active.
Yes, the chat has been very active in this race, which is nice to see. Obviously, we've got a master chef with culinary skills as well, which is lovely to see.
Yep. You never know when you need to cook your meat, I suppose. No, I greatly appreciate the tip from Important Bro. But I mean, it's quite good to see like there is like a community in the chat there as well, because it just really shows how far the leagues went. It's really kind of grew again in recent races where we have seen more chat activity. Well, I've noticed more chat activity anyway. And it's good to just acknowledge the fact that the league's got a fan base, and that's all we can really say. We can really just like extend our appreciation for folk that have decided to tune in to watch, and by this record there's a whole 11 viewers at this point, so we can just extend a thank you to each and everybody that's deciding to tune into your stream on this rather sunny Monday night. Well, for us anyway. Well, for me anyway. I don't know what the weather's like at your end. I mean, it's definitely no sunny here. I think it's anything but. But we are starting to see wee glimpses of light in the sky, so we maybe could see the sun.
Yeah, the rain has eased off quite significantly, but it is still drizzling here. So we are expecting dry weather to come at some point in this session, but whether it will or not is a different question, I think. Yeah, we'll see if Maudi can catch up to the back of this safety car by sector 2 line, because it may be in this lap. We have had three laps under safety car.
Disconnected.
Buckley.
Buckley's Charles ghosted. I've just noticed that there. I was sitting here singing his praises there just a minute ago, and his car's ghosted in the safety car lineup.
Yeah.
Maldi will probably make the end of this.
Yeah, the safety car is in this lap, and yep, Maldi will grab onto the end of this train just before it peels in.
And Dominic's made the move. Truck has made the move. There is overtakes being made under the safety car to get past.
Not sure if they are. No, they don't seem to be classed as illegal overtakes, so they seem to be alright. They get past this ghost car. Hopefully he can rejoin the session, but we will watch as Bruno Will leads the pack away. He's going to have Urban Unicorn behind him, and AKF Libero has been given a 5-second penalty, and Matty has left the session as well. As it's all kicking off. Bruno Will's really slowing the pack down here. He wants to bunch him right up. As Fusion's also been given a 5-second penalty. I assume those are going to be for the overtake on Buckley. As we see, Bruno Will's already bolted it through the penultimate corner as off he goes. He seems to get the jump on Urban Unicorn. But by the looks of it, those penalties may be removed by the end of the session, so they will be provisional for now.
Urban Unicorn napping on that restart there, already a second between the two at the front. But Hamjam and Jamham both being quite very alert on that restart there as well, right on the back of the Haas in front. But nothing else really gone. Dominic is in that 6th position, but I think you said earlier he needs to be in at least 6th to win.
He needs to be P5.
Yes. Oh, so he's got Eke. He's got Eke in front, who was his title rival last season, and that went down to the wire between the pair of them. Eke, as we were discussing in the qualifying and the build-up, just kind of seems to have drifted off the pace terms of his rivals, and he is currently out the running mathematically. So he still has a part to play. He can still hold Dominic up, and the championship can be pushed to Abu Dhabi next week. It's Abu Dhabi for Brazil, isn't it? Because we've shifted the end of the season.
Yeah. So the two final races have been shuffled around. So it will be Abu Dhabi next week, followed by the season finale in Brazil.
It's the proper way to have it, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
But
Brazil's definitely a better season finale, I think, for just general racing. I think it promotes a lot better racing and a lot more of a spectacle, especially with the chance of rain at Interlagos obviously being very high.
Aye, definitely. I think Brazil is a track that I'm I'm looking forward to Abu Dhabi as well, but it's Brazil that Mammoth is just wanting to bite into. Like, that is how excited I am. I'm wanting to bite into the track, into the circuit itself. But I'm honestly looking forward to the finale, as we see Toxic Fusion come into the pits and Maldi's into the pits as well. So
I think Fusions is a drive-through. Yeah, Fusions is a drive-through penalty. I'm not sure. Maldi seems to be a drive-through penalty as well. So yeah, they both seem to be serving their drive-through penalties from the safety car period. But I will add Riggsy. Sorry, I said it wrong. If Dominic finishes P6, he does take the championship.
So Dominic's
if he drops to P7, he doesn't.
See the thing there as well, Mercury, is the fact that Churka, like they're both Hungarian, Churka and Dominic. Do you think Churka might try and get in the way of that? He has kept the pace. He has always been on Dominic's tail this full race. Like, the full 17 laps of experience so far, Churka has always been within a stone's throw of the Red Bull in front. But
sorry, we see Jamham making a move on Ham Jam. So he's got past his brother into into P3. It looked like to be the other way around. It looked like Ham Jam had the pace early on, but Jamham has made the move. But as you were saying, Ricky, sorry.
I feel like maybe, I don't know if Churka might maybe try and give Dominic a bit of a hard time. I mean, like, he would love to see his compatriot win the championship here, and win the championship in general. But I feel like Churka has definitely been on the pace in this race. He's definitely been better in terms of his performance here than he has been of late. So it definitely has been a bit of a much needed pick me up for the Ferrari driver, as he is continuing to give Dominic a bit of hassle. But Dominic's tucked up in the slip from Eke there as well. So every time Churka decides to try and get close to the Red Bull, the Red Bull just decides to pull away and it slips him in the front.
Oh, Eke's gone deep. Eke's gone deep into turn 1. That's going to give Dominic a look through the new sector. He doesn't quite get close enough. He seemed to back out there into turn 1.
I feel like Dominic really is in that position now where he is really tentative about what happens about him. Like Eke, he knows he's in that position. He's like, Bruno Will can go and win all he wants. Like, he can go and build. He can win by 1 second or 1 minute. As long as I'm here, I'm winning. That's what he's saying.
Well, that's exactly that. It doesn't matter if you win it by a point or hundreds, as long as you win it. But I think he's going to be looking to get past Eke as soon as possible if he can, as he seems to be pushing him just for the straight. Oh, sorry, Rickson, we see the first driver on the dry compounded tyres as Maudi goes on a set of mediums. And I think it's just a bit too wet.
He's not going flat through turn 2. He's not going flat through turn 2, and he's having to lift. You have to lift and brake and that for the first exit anyway, but he's just sliding off the main racing line at this point. And possibly in the mediums as well. I mean, the mediums is probably the best bet, but at the same time, the harder the compound, the harder it is to heat them up in these conditions. The track's going to be really cool as well as he
in Mexico, didn't he? Went on the hard compound tyres to try and get to the ends, and just didn't have the pace.
Definitely. I think Maldi maybe has just said at this point.
Oh, we see a few drivers coming into the pits, Sir Viggsy, as we see Dominic, Eke, Urban Unicorns coming into the pits, and Churka's followed behind. So, these drivers must be going on to, I'm not sure, Riggsy. Their inters just seem like
they're lasting
longer. Well, we'll see Dominic's pit stop. It is the soft tyres. Urban's on a set of mediums, and the rest of them, Dominic gets really straight into the path of Iramati, but these all seem to go on softs, and DRS is enabled. DRS is enabled,
Yeah.
so we're going to stay with Bruno Will, and he's just trundling through the first sector. So those drivers have called the strategy to perfection again. How much time are these going to lose? They're only going through the middle sector now. They're only starting the middle sector. Bruno Will.
But only at the top end of the circuit. They've got all the way back down to come. So they're going to lose so much time, especially in that third sector where you're constantly having to be delicate on the throttle, relax your left foot on the brake, and try and no damage and tear into the burning intermediate tyres now on this drying track. So they're definitely going to lose a real handful of time.
Just
the soft runners
crawling around this final sector, as we see Hamjam has got back past his brother Jamham. Look at Jamham just sliding through the final sector. I think they're going to lose a massive amount of time here, Riggsy. As we see, he just can't get power down. As we see Urban only 11 seconds off of Danny now, and he might take the lead of this race. As we see Bruno Will obviously peeling into the pits, as the rest of these drivers will do.
Crucially for Bruno Will, though, he does have a 21-second lead over Urban Unicorn.
Well,
so
it's going to be tight.
I think it's probably like a 20 to 22 second pit stop here in the United States, so this will be really close.
Urban's going to the final corner.
Urban's got the big incline in front of him. Bruno Will's right at the end of the pit lane.
Yeah,
and
he's just on the pit exit, and he's going to take the lead of this race.
Bruno Will
side by side into turn one. As Urban Unicorn gets the move done, he's timed the strategy to perfection, and he gets out just ahead of Bruno Will, but he is on a set of mediums for this last stint of the race. We see Eke and Dominic also making big gains. Eke up into P3, Dominic just behind. So this is now the battle for the lead, Riggsy, as we see a 5-car train.
Urban Unicorn really being a bit tentative with the strategy call on the mediums. I mean, he's wanting to ensure that he's getting to the end with the soft tyres in these conditions.
Bruno's already
really
looking for the move.
With some relative ease. And
DRS is now enabled, of course. We see Urban going defensive straight away to try and hold his position. We see Bruno Will flicking to the outside line. He's going to have the inside line as Bruno breaks the latest, but Urban lifts off the brake pedal. It's going to be a squeeze. He's run the outside. Bruno Will, can he keep the position? He can up the inside, but Urban's going to try and hold it all the way around the outside. But no, Bruno Will gets the move done. Will Urban fight back? The final stages of this sector. Bruno keeps it tight and defends well, and he seems to have got the launch out of there. So Bruno Will back into the lead of this Grand Prix.
And I think that might be the last that we see of him in this pack. I think he's definitely going to have the pace to break away at the front and continue establishing a commanding lead in these final stages. But Eke misses the apex there in the final turn, but will have a run on Urban Unicorn. He's got the DRS Bruno Will. Dominic, I think, will just be a bit cautious.
He's got the inside, he's made the move. He's going for it. They're going to be side by side through the middle sector. Eke gets a better line out of turn one, and he keeps the move for now, as Dominic's really looking to get past this lot and try and win this race. But I'm not sure if Urban can keep up and keep in the slipstream of Bruno Will on those medium tyres.
Like, I'm honestly not entirely too sure about Dominic here. He is definitely got the one in his eyes, as you see Bruno Will just breaking into turn 11 there on Obi Dominic, sitting in fourth. But I don't know, I feel like Dominic is in a prime position to win. And I don't feel like he's going to waste that or throw that away for another number. His race win tally. And he should add to the championship tally and just focus on that one. He has a well-suited established position in fourth. He's called his strategy to perfection from the intercity rise. He's challenging Eke for the final podium spot. And his title is not to throw it out there and put it back for another week, but it is within his reach, especially at this point. He's well and truly in the threshold that he needs to be.
Eke's gone wide. Eke's gone wide, and Dominic has taken the move. He's made it into the penultimate corner, so he is past Eke now. As Bruno Will has streaked away at the front. Now see if Dominic has the pace to get past Urban Unicorn as quickly as possible, and then try and catch his championship rival. He's nearly right at the back of him into turn 1. He's really pushing. We see now Churka and Eke are fighting as Kyle's retired from the Grand Prix. He's in the pit lane.
It's that
Churka with
exact
Churka with a big wiggle. Churka is off in the first sector, but that was cigarette paper.
That is the kind of driving that we're kind of starting to fear for Dominic at this point. He's getting a bit too eager in these braking zones. I mean, a brilliant move on Eke, but at the same time, Eke compromised himself in his defence into the final turn. So Dominic easily took the place, but he kind of got a bit brave, very balls to the wall brake manoeuvre into Urban Unicorn into turn 1, and so nearly closed from a front wing and a championship winning position. And it's that mentality that can completely scupper your chances of winning it altogether. So I don't really know where his head was at that particular moment, but I'm hoping it's back on his shoulders there after that scare.
Well, as we're talking about that, Hamjam is carving his way through the traffic as well. He is up to P6. Obviously, not the strategy call that he's going to have wanted. As we see, Fusion has retired from the session, and that is on track. Riggsy won't be able to see it, but yeah. So, not a good race for Fusion in the end.
Definitely no one that he'll be barking about afterwards. It's been quite a quiet, disappointing race for the Alpha driver. As we're seeing Dominic right on the tail of the Haas again. He opted against a move in turn 1 this time around, but he is definitely looking quicker on the fresher, softer compound through the S section. So that's the thing there as well, Mercury. Dominic's been really weak in a straight line as well, and Urban Unicorn also looked a bit weaker as well when he was compared to Buckley in a straight as well. So both of them have opted for a bit more downforce on the front of the car. So it really is just a matter of how much slips from effect they're going to get in the clear dry conditions now. He is close enough, but I'll sit on board with him. I don't know if you jump on board with him. He is taking the slipstream.
And Urban's lowered his ERS, and Dominic's going to go up the inside. I'm not sure if Urban's going to fight this massively, but he is. He's coming back down the inside, and they're going to go side by side. Dominic around the outside, seems to get the move done. He's going to have the inside line now, and he does get the move done on Urban, and it's a good move in the end. And now he's going to have to catch the 3 seconds that he's got to his championship rival Bruno Will, but obviously he's in position to win the title currently, so if he can sit where he is, it's all wrapped up tonight.
And that's going to be sitting in his heat there. He's going to look at
Matty's gone wide at the penultimate corner. He does get the position right down, so we'll switch back to the front runners.
Dominic's going to be seeing his title rival and season-long rival in his peripheral vision going through turn 2 and into the S's, but he's just going to be, I don't think he'll be trying to chase him down at this point. He'll be trying to maybe bridge a gap to Urban Unicorn, get him at the DRS. Urban Unicorn on the medium tires isn't really looking too punchy either. I feel like Eke and Chucker might make some work on him as well. But Dominic is just going to be sitting there trying to hold station at this point. And I don't really, I was sitting there saying time and again, don't make the move on Eke. Don't make the move on Eke, makes the move. Don't make the move on Urban Unicorn, he makes the move.
Well, he's a racer.
So, I'm telling him.
He's a racer at heart.
Telling him here, he's got to, if he's want to win it, to play it safe now. He is in a strong position. He's got one hand on it at this point, so he needs to just keep them behind and don't get into any tussles and pick up any unnecessary damage in these final 4 laps. And the gap between the two at the front is going to stay the same. It's a 2.9 gap at the moment. Hamjam's bringing the gap down between himself and Chucker, though it was 2.8, it's now 2 seconds, so maybe we'll see Hamjam get into this mix, into this fight for the final podium place in the next couple of laps. He'll definitely need to make quick work in the next 2 at least if he's going to stand a chance of getting on the podium. He was running in the podium position for so long, but was just caught out by the drying track.
He seems to have the pace currently. He is setting good laps, I think.
On with speed.
Oh, hello! Eke's gone very deep, and he's lost the position to Churka. He completely missed his braking job. What happens there, Riggsy?
Trucker got the slipstream off the final turn and was already going alongside, going up the incline, and I think that like Trucker was baiting Eki into a late braking manoeuvre. Trucker was just like, I've baited you out, son, I'll take the inside, I'll take that fourth place off your hands. And I think that's just what it was. Eki just a bit startled with the fact that the Trucker was going up the inside, and I think he was a bit late on the brakes. So I think that's maybe why he's close. I don't think it was any mistake there. I think it was just a bit short-sighted by Chucker being in his wing mirror and being literally alongside of the braking zone. But Hamjam's immediately just demolished that 1 second gap.
Yeah, he's pretty much in slipstream with that mistake from Eke. So he may be getting involved in this battle. Riggsy, do you want to check the penalties for the top 6 in particular?
Right. Bruno Will was on 2 warnings short of a penalty. Dominic's on 1 penalty and he's 1 away from 2 penalties.
Oh.
Urban Unicorn is on a penalty and a warning. Trucker's on a penalty and a warning. 2 penalties and a warning. And Eke is on a penalty. 2 penalties, 3 penalties.
And what about Hamjam?
Hamjam has he's so nearly he's got 2 warnings. He's so nearly the case warnings he picked up on the most recent laps there. So
yeah, where he's been pushing, but currently Hamjam's on to take the podium then. And possibly another P2.
Potentially in position for another bottle of champagne, another trophy to take home back to Brackley, and an extra bit of pride from after another strong race. I mean, albeit he was caught by strategy, but I mean, I think his performance this race has been quite strong once again, and he is building on that form that he's been showing us in recent races. Also,
and Urban's right on the slipstream of Dominic, and he is going to go for the move here down the end of the straight. Has he got the straight line speed? This time he has in DRS and slipstream, and he gets to move back past Dominic. And this is not good for Dominic, as they're both on the same penalties. He needs to finish ahead of Urban Unicorn, possibly for the championship.
The penalties really do come into play now that we've kind of mentioned it, but while we're here, if the chat wants to mention a driver of the day contender, we'd very much like to hear yourselves in the chat and in the stream to let us know what you think of who's stood out most for you, and we'll announce it also when we get them in for the interviews, and if they've got a mic then we can potentially spin around the podium, whatever, we can potentially speak to them as well. I'm going to ignore that comment about saying why the Scottish people exist, but we'll ignore that and let that slide. It's just no my fault that we're countries better than yours, but I'll leave that battle for a particular moment. But Dominic, right on the rear wingy Urban Unicorn once again, and Dominic, I'm going to have to say it again. He has to afford. He can't afford tripping over the Haas in front. It means letting Urban Unicorn have second, then let him have it. But at the same time, like you were just kind of covering there, the penalties really come into play as we see Hamjam taking Eke.
And he has dropped off the back of Churka, so I'm not sure if he's going to... It's going to be very tight to see if he can get this podium, Riggsy, as the gap is about 3.5 to Urban, about 3 seconds to Dominic. So he's going to need to set a good final sector and a good final lap if he wants this podium for the 4th race in a row. But he's set blistering pace in this race. Riggsy, do you want to quickly check? I believe Bruno Will has got fastest lap, so he will get an extra point for fastest lap. Or did someone else take it?
That's the wrong one, I'm changing. Bruno Will takes fastest lap as it stands. 33.4 has been the fastest lap that we've seen on the time sheets all race. But Bruno Will does post the line to start the final lap of this race. The fastest lap could go to anybody, but it's currently in the hands of the Renault driver who's been leading this race, who's been very commanding in a race where he knows deep that he needs to perform at his best and he needs to win this race more than any other one, just to keep his championship aspiration alive. But Dominic, after starting 13th on the grid, it was originally 14th, but he got promoted after Matty was put to the back. Dominic was able to carry his way through the field, get the strategy calls right, and when Bruno Wills dominated the front, he couldn't see his title rival, but now for the later stages of this race, he's been pretty much in the rear wing, the rear mirror, sorry, the rear wing. But crucially for Hamjam, needs to make his way past Chaka on this straight.
The gap's very, very close, Riggsy. It's about 3/10. He's got 3/10 within the gap he needs to be. And he is slipstreaming Churka down the straight, as Churka seems to be defensive. He seems to be helping out his compatriot, VRG Dominic, as Matty makes a move on Domi, but will stay with these as we come through the final sector now. Will Hamjam be able to make the move on Churka? I don't think it's going to matter, but he's going to have to stay within the 3 seconds of Dominic and keep his nose clean in this final sector just to make sure, as the gap is going to be around about 3 seconds. But we will ride on board with Bruno Will as he takes the final corner. It's been a dominant race from him. He's back on form again as he takes the victory here in US. But we look behind. Urban Unicorn finishes second on the road. Dominic's going to be P3, but penalties will be applied. And Dominic finishes on the podium, and he is your season 16 STB champion. What a season from him, and he finishes it off with a brilliant drive in USA. But he is your back-to-back champion in STB. Bruno Will threw down the gauntlet right to the end with the win and fastest lap. He did all he could for this race, but it wasn't enough to beat Dominic.
A brilliant result, but even though his avatar sits and celebrates another race victory in STB, this one will kind of fall flat in terms of the raw emotion and the actual feeling of competing, as he knows that his championship challenge comes to a conclusion, but a better conclusion for the Renault driver. But I mean, can still hold his head high for the challenge that he mounted for the STB Season 16 Championship. But it comes to an end here. The door firmly closes on the Drivers' Championship, as you rightly say. Dominic is our Season 16 STB champion, and our congratulations go out to him as he's on the podium to celebrate. But it's Bruno Will and Urban Unicorn to take first and second here. Hamjam getting quoted with a strategy. I'll keep saying that and I'll say it again. Gets a strong 4th place. Starts 4th, finishes 4th. Chukka, after starting 14th, finishes 5th. Damham, 6th place after starting in the front row. Eke, a strong drive in 7th place. Domi in 8th. DJ Danny in 9th. And Matty rounds out the points in what has been a very wild United States Grand Prix. We are going to try and get the podium sitters into the party and get them to activate and include the audio so we can hear from them.
Well, we'll go straight to VRG Dominic, as I believe he has other things to be doing, so we'll give him a very quick interview tonight. So Dominic, if you'd like to make sure that your audio is included in the party, and we'll give you a quick rundown. So, many congratulations on a back-to-back STB champion. It was a great season from you, consistent throughout. How are you feeling? Well, going to tonight in particular, obviously the luck was on your side, but in terms of strategy, you absolutely nailed it when the wets switched to the dries, and that really propelled you up the field and gave you a chance of, well, winning the championship. Obviously before you were down in P7, P6, right on the fringes, but the strategy call to the dries, was it a snap decision, or did you feel that it was coming over the last few laps? Obviously, when you came out after that safety, not the safety car, sorry, as you came out onto the dry compound, you did have a few positions to make up to make sure that you were in position to take the championship. Was there any part of you that thought to maybe sit back? Because obviously we saw you going for a lot of possibly risky moves that could undo your hard work, but was there any part of you that sort of wanted to sit back and just see how it unfolded and see if you got it with penalties? Well, Dominic, thank you for joining us for an interview. Many congratulations on your Drivers' Championship, 2 in a row. And we wish you the best of luck for the rest of the season. But that's it. BRG Dominic is your Season 16 STB champion for the 2nd time in a row. But we will now go to, I believe we've got Ham Jam in the party. So, another interview for you. I think a really strong race, and again, especially in the wet, you seem to dominate out in that P2 position for most of the race. Obviously not quite nailing the strategy call this time, but you were able to catch back up to the lead pack and just missed out on the podium in the end. How much did that strategy really hurt you?
Well, yeah, it cost me P2, I think. Yeah, it was a tricky one because I knew I was going to come out in around that P5 position, obviously depending on who else was going to pit behind. So I felt like it was a no-brainer, really, like be on the fresher tyres, have the pace. But unfortunately, I just made a few mistakes when I really hadn't done anything wrong all race. I made a couple of mistakes when I was behind Urban, and it meant that I couldn't get past him. And then when it went dry, I basically had the choice of pitting and being held up by the whole field going past me, because obviously I'm in the first garage, or carrying on and hoping that it was still just about wet enough. Yeah, but then I was the second fastest on track behind Bruno Will in the dry, caught up massively to that pack in front, and then just kind of got held up on the last lap by Cherka kind of parking it on every apex, which was a little annoying because I don't think Dominic needed the P3 to win the championship. But
we were monitoring the gap. It was a few tenths of a second either side throughout that final lap, but obviously that would have been your 4th podium in a row. Obviously a hard way to lose it, but I think in terms of the way that you've come on leaps and bounds at the end of this season, you have to take positives from that, and the way that you are now right up with the top guys.
Yeah, cheers. I mean, hoping to still be in that battle for P4 in the championship, but obviously Urban got a good haul of points today, so we'll see how the last couple go.
Well done on your P4, unlucky on missing out on the podium, but thank you for the interview as well.
Yeah, cheers guys.
And Eke, we will come to you last. A difficult race for you. I'd say it was up and down. Obviously within the periods of rain, you didn't look to challenge the top guys, but obviously very similar to Dominic, nailing the strategy and really propelling yourself up towards the grid. Did you feel like you had the pace to be challenging for the victory at the end, or was that something that sort of surprised you in the end?
No, with my pace I shouldn't be there where I was in the race at some points. I was just for me it was a guessing game when I was braking for the corners, so I didn't really care where I was in, what position I was in. I was just hoping not to crash into anyone.
Well, we saw you holding your own for a lot of the rain periods. I think you were sitting around about P8 for most of that wet period. You kept Dominic behind for a big chunk as well. What does that mean to you going forward? Obviously the championship's all wrapped up now, but are you looking to get some more podiums, race victories, the final 2 races of the season?
I don't know, I probably competing for podiums, but maybe like P5 to P8 range, somewhere there is where my aim is for now. for the rest of the races.
Well done on the result tonight, and thank you for the interview, and we wish you luck for next week as well. But Riggsy, that wraps us up for tonight. As we said, VRG Dominic is your season 16 world champion for the second time running. What did you make of his season, Riggsy?
It's been very up and down. There has been. I'm honoured to have witnessed another close battle for the championship, and privileged enough to come back once again for this season and commentate alongside Maldy and yourself. No, I've honestly really enjoyed it. I feel like the battle, the competitiveness is just got even closer. We're starting to see some breakthroughs in terms of driver performance. We're really starting to see some of the drivers who were in the midfield originally starting to shine through and have standout performances, and they're growing as drivers. They're growing in terms of their skill as well, and they're really showing that this bubble at the front of the grid between what I was saying at the start, like it was the championship battle between Dominic, Bruno Will and Eke, and was in there as well. Like those three were kind of in a league of their own at the start, and like throughout the season, like battling for that championship. And I feel like getting into season 17, if STB can keep the drivers and bring in even more talent, then this bubble at the front is going to bust, because there's going to be a lot more competition, and I'm very much looking forward to seeing that happen. I mean, as much as I've got a great respect for the drivers that compete for the championship and win on a regular basis, I really do enjoy seeing drivers growing and building on their talent that they already have, and building on that skill, and giving these drivers that are so used to seeing fighting at the front and fighting for championships get unseated and have a real challenge. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how the league develops in that aspect as well. I'm really much. Oh, I've scared them away. But no, honestly, it's been a very thrilling season. We've had many hectic races. We've had dominant performances. We've had chaos. We've had carnage. We've had there's just so much. Every race has been a thrill in its own right and in its own unique way. And I'm just very much hoping for the same characteristics in season 17. And also want to just extend my congratulations to Dominic for wrapping up the championship here in the United States. I don't know where that leaves the constructors, but I feel like that also could have been confirmed today. But we'll kind of need to look through the stewards need to look through the results, penalties, and such, and see where that leaves them as well. So very much look forward to that as well. But no, honestly, I'll stop there before I continue to ramble over the same stuff again. It's just been very exciting, Mercury, and I've been absolutely thrilled to provide the coverage for it.
Well, we thank you as well, Riggsy, for joining us for every race this season. It has been a roller coaster, but that is it for tonight. Dominic has wrapped up the Drivers' Championship yet again, 2 times in a row. Can anybody throw down the gauntlet next season? But please do join us next week, as we have Abu Dhabi and Brazil the week after. 2 more races left in this season, so those should be very exciting. So make sure to join us for those. For all of those that watched tonight, thank you very much, and we hope to see you next week.